you. Hello, are y'all out there? Hey. I'm Jess J, and I'm 43 years old. And I spent the first 41 of those 43 years in Florida. Don't laugh yet, it gets better. So, I have never, ever had sex with anybody I was related to, or tried to. So that knocks me off that list. As you see, I'm not morbidly obese, and you can tell from my smile that I don't have a meth addiction. I've never lived in a house that had more appliances outside than inside. But I've known people who had. So, but while I wasn't stupid in that way, I managed to flex my stupid in other ways. How many of y'all like tattoos?
Woo! Yeah.
I love tattoos, and I'm dying to get a real one. That's not to say that these aren't real. I mean, they're real. They're not scratch and sniffs. Though if there was a scratch and sniff tattoo, I would definitely be up for getting my nuts done up like the Eminem character. Straight up. So I've never gotten a tattoo in a shop. I had to go to some of the roughest gated communities the state of Florida had to offer to get the ones I got. Couldn't ever stay out of trouble. Was always in and out, more in than out. And when you live life like that, that's like being invited to an orgy on the set of My 600-Pound Life. Don't overthink it. No matter how well it goes, it's never gonna be good. And what's funny is everything that I needed to know about prison life, I learned at home. Straight up, I remember coming home from school and my room would be wrecked. Clothes thrown everywhere, shit knocked over, sheets ripped off my mattress. And when I think back, that's exactly how my cell would look like after a shakedown. Those officers didn't know they were fucking with a trained professional. I was a master hiding cigarettes, pornography, and drugs before I ever left home. And I didn't have to go to prison to figure out I didn't want something stuck in my butt. And I didn't have to go there to figure out how to stop it from happening. Man, I can remember when I was a kid, I got sick, and my mom popped up with a 12-pack of suppositories. She had my 300-pound dad hold me down, and we fought for 45 minutes before they gave up. Ladies and gentlemen, I promise you not one made it in my ass. But I had so many fingernail scratches around my asshole, it probably looked like a cat had tried to claw its way in that motherfucker. And I didn't have to go to prison to learn how to fight. I had a 300-pound dad, had no problem putting his hands, feet, or belt on me. And my mom's weapon of choice was a braided switch. Man, I used to have so many bruises, welts, and lash marks in different stages of healing. Blue, green, brown, black. Man, for most of my childhood, my ass looked like it was sponsored by Maceo. And I didn't have to go to prison to learn how to occupy my idle time. Man, I started running away by 9, and by 11, I was such a professional at fleeing and eluding. My mom had my dad put screws outside my window and turn my door handle around, just so they could lock me in. By the time I did make it to the big house, man, I had already become a professional at drawing, reading, and jacking off. I turned my talents to a new level, and I built me a fat girl. That's what I said, I built me one. See, it starts with a fifi. A fifi is an office-sized garbage bag straightened out, rolled up into a folded towel with lotion squirted in the end of it. That's a fifi, also known as a fuckhole. Now you take your fifi and you roll it up into a folded blanket and then roll it up into your mat and tie out both ends with your sheets. You just made a fat girl. It's got the wide grips, sloppy wet hole, and look at the bright side. You didn't have to feed it, talk to it, or kiss it. And I didn't go to prison and lose my sense of humor. If anything, I kicked it up a notch. When I would get to prisons and the staff, they always wanted to pat us down and search us all the time, always invasive. And me, I got some goose eggs for nuts. It'd be funny if I didn't have a punchline. We just said that, right? So I would pull my nuts out and I'd flip them over my waistband and then pull my shirt over top of them. and I'd get pulled over to get searched, and the searches always went the same way. They'd be patting them, they'd find them, and then they would try to figure out first what they had found with their fingers first, and then they would grab my nuts and say, "What is this?" And I'd be like, sir, you know the rule. If you tug on the nuts, you gotta tug on the dick. And they'd be like, "Oh, you nasty motherfucker." And I'd be like, "Touche, sir, you're on the clock. You got paid good taxpayer money to grab these nuts." And I take off on them. Another thing I like doing, I like sneaking off into their bathrooms and polishing their toilet seats off with Bengay. It was always so easy to find the officers that sat their bare asses on them nasty ass toilet seats. If it was the rednecks, they had no class whatsoever. It didn't matter where they were at. You'd find them on the side doing this shit. Oh, my ass is on fire. The white women, they always did the same thing. They would find a wall or a corner of a building and then back up to it, and it looked like they were just listening to church music because they just be swinging back and forth on that motherfucker. The black girls, they treated their itchy booties the same way they treat their heads when their braids are too tight. They would just sit there and keep popping their asses like this. And I didn't have to go to prison to learn how to bathe. Thankfully, I learned that at home. But I did have to learn how to bathe with boots on. That was a thing. Man, when I first got to prison and they gave me 2 pair of boots and told me one was for showering in, I thought to myself, what in the fuck is necessary that you need boots in the shower? Well, it didn't take long for me to get the answer to my question, because later on that night, when they were doing showers, not even 30 seconds into the showers, I watched a dude get knocked out in the showers by this big grizzly motherfucker. And this dude's face hit the drain and laid up like this. And the big dude that knocked him out stood over top of him like this and went to bathing all over top of him. All kinds of DNA water slapping him in his face. Everybody know what the DNA water is? That's dick, nuts, and ass all in his face. This dude woke up to a sight that I don't think any man truly wants to wake up to. He woke up to look up at another man's tank. Oh my God. And it was at that point I said, yep, boots in the shower. I'm with it. Now, I've spent a long time, man, so I don't really know how to talk to a lot of women. And going to prison only made that real to me. Because I remember I got transferred to an institution that there was a woman there that looked so beautiful to me. Now, I don't know what she would look like to me now, because time is like alcohol. The more you do, the better everyone else around you looks.
Cheers.
But she looked so good to me that when they announced that there would be a talent show, I wrote a poem just for her. And when time came, they called my name, and I go up to the pavilion, I grab the microphone. There's over 1,200 inmates, and I start telling my poem. As I'm telling my poem, I notice that there are officers running towards me. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on? But I keep going. And as I finish my poem, I've got 12 officers that circle around me, and they all pull out pepper spray and start spraying me at the same time. Throw me in handcuffs and carry me off the confinement and kick my ass. That was the best poem I ever wrote. Ladies and gentlemen, that poem. So I was walking to the chow hall just the other day when Officer Hoskins came my way. She said, Jay, I can't wait till you get free, because I'm going to give you some pussy like you ain't never seen. I said, Officer Hoskins, why wait for so much time to pass? I wouldn't mind tearing up that pretty little ass. I pulled out my dick, it was so big and shiny, it looked like it was paint. That officer took one look and damn near fainted. I stuck it in, she began to shout. The colonel came around the corner and said, hey, inmate, pull that motherfucker out. What's funny is, earlier that year, I had to go in for a physical. And when I go into the physical, I noticed that they got a new doctor. Platinum blonde, late 20s, early 30s. She was a stunner too. So hard, it was hard to concentrate on what she was asking me. But I picked up when she said, do you want a prostate exam? I said, no, ma'am, no. I'd rather die than let you stick a finger in my butt. I don't get too far for that. She's like, all right then, would you like a testicular exam? Now, she had already lost me. I was already back to staring at her. So I only heard stick an exam. I didn't hear the whole story. And I said, no, ma'am, I just told you, you're not sticking your fingers in my butt. She's like, no. That's where I check your testicles to see if you have any lumps on them. And I went, huh? I'd never heard of this test before. They didn't teach that in school. I said, wait a minute. Can I sign up for that one and not the other one? She's like, yeah, sure. Where do I sign? She's like, all right, I need to get a witness. Now, the purpose of the witness is to make sure she's not doing anything sexually inappropriate with me. And they're supposed to stand in front of the window to make sure people walking by don't see me naked. I think she only got half the memo. Because she came back with a 4'10" Guatemalan nurse whose head only came up to the bottom of the window. No problem. So when she comes back, she's like, all right, drop your trousers. I drop my trousers, and she kneels in front of me. By the way, this is 2003, so I'd like to point out, she took a knee before Colin Kaepernick did. Just to keep everything in perspective. And so she kneels in front of me, and she grabs my dick. That threw me off too. I thought this was going to have an exciting end, because if you're checking my nuts, why was the first thing she grabbed my dick? I don't know. But my head was out there. So she grabs my dick and throws it over the back of one hand and goes to rolling my right nut around. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing happened. But when she grabbed my left nut and flipped my dick over to the other hand, I felt her breast hit my dick. And it shot up so fast, you didn't even have to see it to know it happened. All you had to do was watch her face. Because she went from, put it away. And I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. The only one that's been touching me like that for the last 4.5 years has been me. I'm just kidding, everybody. Y'all have a good night.